Welcome back to Singing Through Fire. I'm your host, Lara Silverman, and today we're continuing our Faith in the Furnace series, where we interview Christian warriors with powerful testimonies of God's sustaining grace in modern-day lions' dens. I am so excited today to introduce you to Sara Gaver. Sara is a speaker, advocate, and the founder of Real Life Connections, a platform dedicated to encouraging others to become fearless, stay motivated, and always push for more. Born with Arthrogryposis and a full-time wheelchair user, she has spent her life turning obstacles into opportunities and empowering others to see that life is worth living no matter the challenges. She has a degree in health administration from the University of North Florida and won the amazing distinction of Miss Wheelchair USA in 2022. Through her speaking and advocacy work, Sara inspires audiences to embrace resilience, faith, and inclusion. When she's not working, she enjoys reading, painting, and spending time outdoors. You guys, I recently connected with Sara on Instagram. You have got to check out her page. She is so inspiring, like probably the most resilient person I've ever met. I mean, she literally paints masterpieces. She is so talented, and she paints them with her mouth because she can't use her arms. But anyway, without further ado, let's sing through the fire. This is Singing Through Fire, where we worship when it hurts, discuss hot takes from the furnace of affliction, and explore a biblical theology of suffering with a side of sass and sarcasm. From lamentations to laughter, this podcast is for anyone desperate for hope, who's ever asked, "Why, Lord, why? I've lost my health, career, and husband, so we're in this fight for faith together." Welcome to the show, Sara. I'm just so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
So, Sara, can you start by just telling us your faith in the furnace story, meaning give us an overview of your path through suffering since you were born, and then we'll launch into questions.
Sure. So I was born with my physical disability. Unfortunately, the disability has left me unable to walk my entire life. I have joint and muscle contractures or missing joints and muscles. So I'm basically kind of in the position that I was put in after 14 surgeries over my childhood. And throughout childhood, I actually wasn't in a family of believers. My mom's side was a family of believers, but my dad's wasn't. And so we did not go to church or anything like that. I got to go to vacation Bible school every once in a while as a fun trip with my grandmother, but she passed away, unfortunately, when I was 11. And so those didn't last very long. But I really came to find my faith when I was in my third year of college. College was a really dark time for me. It was really difficult being a person with a physical disability and having to rely on strangers 24/7 to take care of you and provide your every need while being away from your support system. Like my mom was my main support system, and she was my voice for a really long time. And so it was like a shock to my system, and I got really down on myself. I went through a lot of abuse and neglect from the caregivers, a lot of physical abuse and things like that that just I wasn't really prepared for, and I didn't think that could really happen to a person. And then I met these two gentlemen who they were college kids, probably younger than me, who offered to pray for me one day. And it was just an eye-opening experience because there's this stigma in the disabled community where people don't really like when people come up and pray for us because they're always like, oh, they're just praying to fix me. Like they don't like me where I'm at and they can't accept me where I am because they just want to see my healing then and there. And I kind of always kept that in the back of my head, but I don't ever turn anybody away from praying for me. So these two boys said they would pray for me, and we sat down and they asked a little bit about me and they started to pray. And the first thing they prayed for wasn't that I was automatically normal again or healed from everything disability wise and could get up and walk, around campus. It wasn't like that. They just prayed for that inner depth healing that I'd been going through, that depressing side of me that I just couldn't get out of the darkness. And from there, I said, wow, I think this is something I really have longed for, like the relationship with God that I've never had, where the darkness doesn't have to be so dark because he can provide that light. And so from then on, I started my faith journey from there and just have really built on it at this point.
Wow. I mean, so powerful, so inspiring. Can you tell us a little bit more about your condition? Like, so you're full-time in a wheelchair, correct?
Yes, I'm full time in a power wheelchair.
And can you walk at all, or no, I guess it's full time, so you can't walk at all?
Mm-mm. No, I'm not able to walk at all. So basically, I'm kind of stiff in a sitting position.
Mm.
I'm able to bear weight on my legs so I can transfer to other sitting locations, the
Mm.
toilet, the bed, the couch, things like that. But I'm not able to stand up straight. And then my arms work and my hands work, but only at my lap level because my elbows don't bend.
I see. Okay, so you can
Mhm.
move your arms and legs, but you can't use them.
Correct. I have full feeling. Everything is as
Oh,
it should be. I just can't use them
yeah.
to their full function because muscles are missing or joints are stuck in a position.
Can you give us a picture on how you eat and drive and do daily functions? Like, d
Yeah, so on top of having my power wheelchair, I am always looking for new assistive technology. So I have a robotic arm that I use,
wow.
that's operated through my wheelchair. So it's not attached to my arm, it's attached to the wheelchair.
Oh.
Her name is Joy. She's also a miracle story we can talk about later. That's how she got her name.
Oh.
But I use her for everything that you would use your hands for. So I can put a spoon in the hand and then operate to, go in the dish, pick up the food, feed myself with it. I put my makeup on this morning with it.
Oh.
I can do my hair, all of those things that I wasn't able to do, I was finally
Wow.
able to do 4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait. We'll definitely have to get into it. Her name is Joy. You named her Joy.
Yeah.
I love it. So, do you have nonstop pain on top of the immobility?
I do most days. I unfortunately, with my disability comes arthritis, and it comes
Mm,
from the beginning.
mm,
So joints start to really hurt just because they've been stiff. All of that cartilage in there and everything in the joints wears away. And so I do get a lot of pain. I get a lot of pain from sitting, not being able to stretch out. So I've put a lot of time into like physical activity as much as I can to just move what is movable to help sustain some of that pain from getting worse.
mm. Actually, so can you launch into that story on the robotic arm? Let's just get into it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I found out about the robotic arm about 5 years ago. At that point, I had 24-hour care, which means there was a person with me 24/7.
Mm.
I had that for 14 years and recently lost it, but we can talk about that later. But at that point, I still had caregivers, nurses coming in and out of my home. And so we had applied for this arm through insurance. It was something that insurance should have approved, but I got 28 denial letters as I was
Oh,
fighting to get this arm.
oh my gosh.
And in the process of getting medical denials, you can appeal, you can go to court. And so we made the choice that my case was good enough, I could take it to court. So I did. I went to court. It was during COVID, so I didn't actually get to go in person. It was over the phone, which in my case in that situation was very unfair because they couldn't see me physically. So they
Oh,
didn't really have a good understanding of how it would have benefited me. I feel like if I would have
yeah.
had a chance to show myself, it would have been better. But we did the best we could. Unfortunately, as a person with a disability, only about 8% of the cases ever go to court. And then on top of that, none of us have representation. So I represented myself that day, which was very scary.
Oh my
I had to
gosh.
have an opening statement. I mean, you know all about court. I should have
I
known
would
you
have
four
loved to
years ago. It would have been
represent
great.
you. Oh
So
no.
I put on my pink glasses and played Legally Blonde and
Oh
pretended
my
I knew what I
gosh.
was doing.
You must have been just gorgeous and brilliant in there.
I did everything I could to withstand that day. So anyway, we went through and it was very negative. All the other
Oh,
parties were very negative about not needing this, that independence was doing everything on your own 100%, and I was never going to get there. And it was just a really bad experience in the court system. And so we did it twice and ended up 28 denials later. And so I had a group of ladies at the church who said, well, we'll just start a fundraiser. Let's see if we can get this. And I said, "Ooh,
oh,
okay, but it's a $65,000 piece of equipment.
wow.
That's a lot. And I don't think I've ever raised that much in my life."
Yeah.
So we went on the news. We did all kinds of work in the community. We just really tried to put it out there, and we plateaued at about $8,000. And I was like, "Ugh, I still have so much more to go."
Oh,
And I was like, okay, maybe it's not my time, right? This isn't my
mm.
device. It's just not going to happen. And about 3 weeks into the fundraiser, we got a phone call from this really sweet woman, and she said, "I've seen your GoFundMe, and I am ready to pay the rest of it. We have $60,000 for you." And I was like, "What? Who are you? I don't understand." And she said, "It's a blessing to you. We had this money set aside to help others, and this is how we want to use it." And so we paid the company directly. We bought it straight out of pocket, 65 grand. And Joy got her name because they rushed her delivery and brought her to me 2 days before Christmas 4 years ago. And so she's my
Oh,
Christmas miracle.
oh my
I got her
gosh.
right before the Christmas holiday. And so the church ladies that came, one of them brought her two little boys, and they thought the robot was so cool. And I could just see how much joy they exuded from their
Wow.
face and their experience. And I said, that has to be her name because she
Oh.
brings me joy, but she also brings joy to everybody she meets. So that's
Oh,
how she came to be.
Sarah, you couldn't tell, but I was tearing up. Like, what a God thing. Like, my jaw's kind of on the floor. You hadn't told me this before. And I'm
No.
just like, wow, like God provides. And I'm wondering why do you refer to the robot as a person almost like her? Is it because it's like a part of you? Like, how do you view that? I love that because you're kind of describing her as part of yourself.
I guess so. I think I do. I mean, even the kids do. They call her Miss Joy like she's a teacher, but it is. It's a kind of a part of me. It's not attached to me, but I couldn't do life without it.
Wow.
So,
I mean, this is a gift from the
yeah.
Lord. And it's like, it goes to show you how, like, technology, with all the bad stuff, people say AI is being used for evil. And I agree with some of that. But it's like, look how God redeems even like
Yeah.
technology, uses it for good.
Exactly. Yeah, so much of it can make so many advancements for those of us that just don't have full function. So,
I'm just so grateful for you for that. And so does she help you eat and drive and just everything else?
not for driving. Driving's a whole nother robotic system.
W- Wow.
But everything else, yes, we use it for everything: folding laundry, washing the dishes, opening doors. I mean, I can do just about anything.
Unbelievable. I mean, your resilience
Yeah.
is just I anyway, I okay, let's transition a bit because
Okay.
I want to get into some of the heavier stuff. So, being born with your condition means you've never known life without disability. And so I'm wondering, how has Jesus's command to take up your cross taken on meaning for you?
It's taken a lot of years to really get to the point of acceptance. And we
Mm,
talk about this a lot because you can be born with your disability or you can acquire a disability later in life, and they can happen to anybody, right? And so
yeah.
the path to acceptance isn't short, it's long.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And there's joy in the path, there's sorrow in the path, there's
Mm.
loss in the path. And regardless if you had 20 years where you could walk and then became disabled, or if you're like me and grew up your entire life watching everybody else walk but yourself,
Oh.
it's still a sense of loss that we all deal with regardless. There's no way you can say, I didn't go through loss because I never had it before, right? And so
Absolutely.
understanding that God puts us in positions where if we go through trials and we can keep our faith strong,
Mm.
we can use that faith or that experience to share with others who are going through the same thing because He wants to be glorified for being who He is in our life every single day. It's not just the miraculous, it's not just the good times, it's
Mm.
also the not good times because He never leaves and He never forsakes us. So that's the important part to remember, that as a person with a disability, yes, we pray for our healing if that's where we are. Or maybe we've come to the point where we know our healing's not earthly. Maybe it's only an eternal life, and maybe it's
Mm.
heavenly. Like, that's between you and God and your conversations with Him. But
Yeah.
during our time on earth, He uses our testimony and our story to grow other people's faith every single day.
Hmm. I mean, that's so beautiful and so true. I'm wondering if when you became a believer, your perspective on your condition changed radically, or like, how did your faith inform your view of, your identity?
So I don't know that it changed my perspective on my actual disability, right? I always was okay with who I was,
Wow.
but I wasn't okay with who I was when I was placed in a community.
Oh.
Um, it brought a lot of, I guess, like mental stress and pain, I guess we can call it. That might not be the right words,
What do you
but
mean placed in community? You mean like you were comfortable with yourself, but others weren't? Or what do you mean?
right. And I wasn't comfortable with myself when I was around others.
Oh, I
I was
see.
okay physically with myself, right? Because I didn't
Yeah.
know any different. But
Oh.
when you put me on a playground in second grade
Oh, yeah.
and the whole playground is mulch and I have to sit on the sidewalk while everybody plays,
Hmm.
it doesn't feel fair.
Right.
And you go, why, God? Why do I don't get to play with my friends? Like all my friends are playing and I just have to sit here. And it's
Right.
those moments and those
Hmm.
situations that really make you question those hard questions that nobody wants to ask,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So
But then once you became a believer, did you feel like you had a better framework? I mean, you kind of described it already, knowing that the Lord doesn't forsake you and has a plan for your life and this is ordained and whatever. Like, did that shift the perspective and help you in that sense?
it did in a sense, it made me more bold to fight for those who don't have that yet,
Mm.
if that makes more sense. So like,
Yeah.
does it still anger me as an adult that when I go to the grocery store and I can't reach something on the top
Mm.
shelf and I'm
Yeah.
trying to get help and 10 people walk by without offering to help me? Does that still
Mm.
bother me? Absolutely. But because I have my faith and my strong foundation, I know that the
Mm.
harder I fight with God by my side, the easier it will be for the next person that comes after me in the same situation.
Wow. And that's what fuels some of your passion for advocacy, I
A
think,
lot
right?
of it, yeah.
Wow. Um, do you ever feel like you can still pray for healing, or do you think God has called you to explicit acceptance of this?
I don't think it's explicit acceptance, but I also don't believe that it's a full healing. I
Mm.
think so I definitely have prayed a lot recently over the curve in my spine. So there's like certain things within my body. Like I love
Oh.
my hands. I love them how they are. I've
Mm.
accepted them.
Yeah.
I have three of them, and nobody else can say that they have three hands but me. So I, I've come to learn to live the way God made me because that's who I'm
Wow.
supposed to be at this time. But there are things that cause pain, and there are things that could cause other complications as I age that I still pray for fervently because don't
Mm.
want I don't want it to end yet if it's not supposed to, and I don't want those things to
Wow.
cause that to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, your faith is just so so inspiring. Like, I feel like the rest of us are complaining about such dumb stuff, and then here you are, like, so resilient. I mean, I can't even put it into words. I mean, how do you feel God's nearness in your pain? Like echoing Job 36, where it says, like, God speaks to us in our affliction. Like, how does he usually speak to you or comfort you?
Through music. Music is my outlet.
Oh.
I have used music as an outlet for pain since I was little, going through difficult situations at home or when somebody was angry or it got abusive or it got, to a point where I was in a deep depression. I've always turned to music. And so I feel like that's my way of kind of sitting in the darkness and then conquering it to get to the light is being in that musical realm. I also pray a lot,
Wow.
and I I don't I'm not one of those people who pray and it's super formal and you say all these Bible verses in it. Like I talk to God like he's my friend,
Mm.
and as
Wow.
I know we should fear the Lord, I just feel like Jesus is somebody that I can go to at any point and just have that connection and conversation with.
Absolutely. I mean, I was watching something on Instagram the other day. There's this guy, like, I follow him, and he said, like, the other day he was praying and he called God dude, like, kind of like one of his guy friends. And he took a moment and he was like, wait, was I supposed to call you that, Lord? And I don't know what the Holy Spirit said back, but isn't that so true? Like, I think that's what God desires, like, he created us for that intimacy with him.
Yeah, exactly. I've caught myself multiple times where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. I'm sorry. Like,
Oh, I do that
oops.
all the time.
And then I'm like, but at least I'm really comfortable talking to you.
Yeah. Wait, can I get back to the music? Because are you a singer? Is that it? Or
Both. So I listen to music all day long, every day. It plays throughout my house, through my car,
Like
every
worship
day.
music or all music?
Worship music, but I've been singing since I was 4. So,
Wow.
mhm.
Mezzo, alto, soprano.
Soprano.
Oh. So
Yeah.
are you in a choir now or do you know?
I'm not. I'm actually trying to get on the worship team at my church right now. And they just
Yeah.
sent me the information to audition. But I was on the
Oh,
worship team a few years ago at a different church. And then I sang through
oh.
college and all the way through grade school. So,
Okay, everyone, this woman is singing through the fire. All right. We've got like the prototype guest on today. This is, look at the sign back there. Like, I love that you love music. Maybe that's also why we just connect so well on top
yeah.
of having great friend chemistry. But anyway, that's um I want to ask now, have there been seasons when you felt like God has been silent in your pain? Maybe, in your younger years, early 20s, whatever, when you weren't as, comfortable in your identity or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I think it maybe he wasn't silent, but I wasn't attuned to listening, because
Mm.
I didn't know how
Yeah.
or where to turn or what quiet actually looked like so that I could hear him. Because
Mm.
throughout even tragedies that I've experienced through my life, like, being pushed by a caregiver, or I had a caregiver choke me out once, and like
Oh my
those
god.
things are so scary, and I remember a lot of them, but I also don't, and I think they're just filed
Mm.
away somewhere so I don't have to pull them back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Um, but like going back now, I look back on those and I know that he was there, even though it didn't feel like he was in the moment. Like we always say, well, God's not there in the tragedy, or he was there, but will I ever know why I went through that? Well, we may or
Mm.
we may not know why we went through it.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes it takes years to figure out why you did. And then that memory
Mm.
pops back up and you're like, oh, wow, that's
Mm.
exactly why it happened. Like, look how much more I've gained, or look how much more you've shown me, God, because
Mm.
we went through that together, right? And so, like, I had that experience where I lost all of my caregiving hours a few years ago. It's just 2.5 years ago, about today. And it was one of those moments where I was like, what do? I cannot sustain living. Like, I rely on another human to
Wow.
provide care for me 24
Yeah.
7, or I will not survive.
Mm.
And God had other plans. He said, you're lying to yourself. Let me show you. And
Oh.
so I went out and moved out west and spent time out there, and just, I didn't I didn't feel like myself. I just felt like I was being forced to be something I wasn't when I was there, and I just really couldn't figure out why I had been put in that situation, because it was so deep and dark and hard.
Of
And
caregiving, of someone
yeah, I
giving you
had went out
care.
there to be with somebody,
Yeah.
um, because the only other option here was to go to a nursing home, and I didn't want that at 29. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to give up everything that we had done in life to go to a nursing home before I was 30.
Yeah.
And so I took a chance and went out there, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. We didn't get along. It got
Mm.
really negative. It was really nasty. And it got
Wow.
to a really deep, dark point where I tried to take my life, and I would never in a million years think
Wow.
I would try and do something like that. Ever.
Right, right.
Never. And at that point I was like, okay, we need to go. Like, I can't be
Wow.
here any longer, because
Mm.
it's not right with my spirit, and it's not where God
Mm.
needs me to be any longer. It's time to go. But by the time I got back here a year and a half ago, back into Florida, he had really just taken that opportunity to show me that all of that deep, dark, ugly I went through was because he was building me up enough courage to be able to live without 24-hour care anymore. I don't need it.
Wow. Wow.
I'm on 4 hours a day. That's
Wow.
20 hours. I don't have somebody following me
It's
around.
amazing.
That's an incredible accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
But you had to go through the ugly to get there. And
Yeah.
that was, it's like, why? Why did I have to go through all of that?
Hmm.
But it's refining, like they talk about when you take sand and make a diamond, right? That he was refining
Mm.
me and my image of myself and my confidence in myself,
Hmm.
and really giving me an opportunity to be as close to him as possible because he knew that if I could move and shift, my beliefs and everything that I had on this world to him and what he had for me, that I would come out so much stronger on the other side and be able then to set examples for other people to get them to the same point.
Mm. That is so good. Yeah, and I'm so glad that the Lord pulled you out of that situation and really has redeemed it now. Because you're saying you're so much stronger now. You're totally independent. Now you know there are no limits. Like the Lord really did deliver you. And it's just beautiful to see. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say growth because you're like the strongest person I know already, but it's just, yeah. I'm wondering if you still feel any anger or grief about your condition anymore, or if you really are at, total peace. I mean, you touched on this earlier, maybe certain situations trigger you, but are you at peace with the Lord's will for your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, you're right, certain situations can trigger certain feelings, but it doesn't change my knowing and acceptance that I am who I am
Hmm.
because that's who he made me to be.
And how did you get to that point? Because talk to the person out there who's like, I can't accept God's will. Like, okay, like did it take you 20 years? Did it take you 10 years? How did the Lord change your heart to actually surrender to this lifelong cross?
It took me 32 years and I'm still trying. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Um, took a long, long, long time, but I think I started praying for opportunities where God could show me that the way he created me was the way I was meant to be because it impacted more people than
Wow.
I would have been able to reach otherwise. And
Wow.
that's where my heart set on fire, literally. Because every moment that I had where I could inspire or empower or whatever motivational word you want to use,
Yeah.
somebody, didn't matter who it was out of a group of 1,000, if I did it for one person, I knew that my mission with God was complete at that moment in that situation. And that's what fuels me every single day. I don't really do life just for me, right?
Wow.
I do life for God, but because of the glory of other people. I don't do it
Mm.
for myself. I don't struggle to make a pizza and film an hour and a half video to put a 3-minute reel on Instagram so you can watch me make a pizza for myself. I do it
Yeah.
for somebody
Wow.
else who's at home going, wow, I never thought I could do that. Look how she did that.
Oh.
Maybe I can make myself dinner for the first time ever by myself. Because that
Mm.
one small little glimmer of hope that you
Mm.
can instill in a person because of your faith already,
Mm.
then it's like a trickle effect of all these amazing little moments that they begin to have, which then increases their opportunity to grow that seed that we've planted in their belief in God.
That's so beautiful. You're gonna make me cry again. Just the thing about the pizza and someone because I've watched all your Instagram reels, like, with my eyes glued to them, like, in my bed, watching you, like, cook and drive, and
Mm.
it's just amazing how you plow through this, and it really reminds me of, in the Gospel of John where Jesus says, "A man was born blind for the glory of God." It's like you said, it's like God has told you to your spirit, like, I'm using this for my glory. Like, this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an accident.
Right.
God is sovereign. And yeah, because so often we want to say, no, God would never make someone born disabled, or why would he be so evil as to, but Exodus 4 literally says, I am the God who makes them deaf, mute, blind. I mean, he is like owning it. And why? Because mysteriously it leads to his glory, as
Yeah.
exemplified in your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it can seem hard in a worldly sense when someone's born and they get cancer, or
Yeah.
someone's born and they're unable to walk, right? Because in our worldly view, that's all we know.
Yeah.
And it looks bad. And the
Hmm.
way that people talk about it makes it feel bad. And
Right.
the resources that are out there are so scarce that it feels impossible. And so it's like, because there's already been this built notion that disability is bad,
Hmm.
it's harder to find the hope that being disabled can be good.
See, this is the hard part because I don't want to be dismissive. Like, and I don't want to offend you when I say, like, disability is quote unquote bad in some sense, in the sense of, I think God, we live in a fallen world, and that's also part of why. I mean, it's a
Right.
mystery. Like, are you born, Sarah? Are you born disabled because it was God's will, or because we live in a fallen world? Like, there's this tension in the Bible. Like, I don't think Jesus's heart was for you to be disabled, but at the same time, it's clear it was His will. So it's so confusing, and yet as Christians, we're called to hold that tension. Like, right?
I think it's just a matter of praying for peace regardless of which way it is, right?
Mm,
I'm not going to know until I get to heaven.
yeah.
But all I can do is hope and pray that the route that I take or the choice that I make on how I accept it because I know what He's put in my spirit
Mm,
is the right decision.
right. And would you say, this is kind of a loaded statement, but I think it's true, but it's very difficult to get there sometimes when the spouse has cancer, when you're disabled, when whatever. Is God's plan good, even if we can't understand it? Like, would you believe that?
I do believe that, yeah.
Mm,
Because I've gone through my own really dark times and came out on the other side because God showed me what the good was even in it.
mm,
And so we just might not know it on this side. That's one of those things where you just have to hold that and like pray for peace until
mm.
you get there and learn what
Yeah.
it truly is, right? Like we're just not going to know.
What about the person out there who's like, I don't see any good right now. I don't see any redemption. Like, He's not giving me any glimpses. You know what I'm saying? What would you say to that broken heart out there, which
I
is
think it
many of us? Yeah.
I think it starts with being really grateful for the small things that most people miss.
Mm. What do you
Like
mean?
it's really easy to be like, well, God hasn't given me any miracles today or whatever that
Mm.
looks like.
Yeah.
But you forgot that God woke you up this morning. He gave you your
Mm.
first breath this morning. He
Mm.
opened your eyes this morning. He brought your mom and dad into your room to say good morning or whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
He gave you the place that you're living. Maybe it's not the best place that you're living, but
Mhm.
it's still a place where you are sheltered, right?
Mm.
It's just those little things like stepping outside this morning. It was so cloudy here. And I go for a prayer walk every single morning. And
Ah.
I said, God, today it was supposed to be sunny and it is cloudy and I don't want to walk in the clouds. And I don't know, I swear he went, because in 10 seconds, all the clouds were gone. And I was like, wow,
Aw.
thanks. And I was like so happy. And I spent all my time outside. And then I called my mom and said, go outside because God made it sunny today. I just asked him to.
Mhm.
And she was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know. It was cloudy and now it's not. And I'm so grateful. Like, it's being intentionally grateful for the small things opens your eyes to the bigger things that you may have missed.
Hmm. Wow. That's so,
Because
yeah.
we talk about like the table, right? We go to heaven and we get to sit at the table with God. But while those who are already in heaven are at the table,
Uh-huh.
every once in a while, those little tiny miracles we miss, we call them crumbs. And they just drop them
Mm.
from heaven from the table down
Mm.
onto us. And if we're not careful and we don't pay attention and we don't praise God for the beautiful things of this life every single day, we will miss the crumb from heaven that day.
Mm.
And it can be something super small and simple, but it starts to realign the way you think, the way you feel, and how your spirit connects with God, in my opinion.
Mm. That's beautiful. And on the flip side, what does biblical lament look like for you as someone with physical limitations? Is it like, you're cooking and you're frustrated, something isn't working or whatever, and you just have to stop and just cry out to the Lord? Or how do you like lament these days, on days when your emotions are still tough?
Yep. And they happen all the time because people say,
Mm.
well, you're so happy, they must just not happen, and that's so toxic. No, they happen all the time.
Mm.
I get to the point where I get so frustrated that I will just stop and cry. And there
Mm.
is just
Yep.
nothing I can do until I get through that moment. That's it. It just has to happen.
Yeah.
And then he sends just enough of that feeling and he goes, no. recollect yourself. You can
Mm.
do it. Try again. And
Mm.
it's like that. It's like an inner battle worldly, and then it's a battle between me and him because it just every once in a while it just doesn't seem fair. I don't want to do it this way anymore, or I don't want my arms not to work anymore. I just want to use them. Like,
Yeah.
and we have those conversations. I will literally yell just like that in my house. Thank gosh I live alone. I'm just kidding. So nobody
But do
hears
you
me
think the
yelling.
Lord understands your emotions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is great because you're showing people that you can be at peace with the Lord's will, but also be human. Like just because you're
Right.
joyous in the Lord's will doesn't mean you're always like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
like we are and I think Jesus understands that. Like Jesus experienced a range of emotions himself. He wept at Lazarus' tomb and that even though he knew he was about to raise the guy, but it's like he weeps with us when we're weeping, right? It took me a long time
Right.
to realize that.
Yeah, exactly.
Romans 8:29 speaks of God conforming us to Christ. Why do you think God cares so deeply about shaping our character through such prolonged embodied suffering? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he could shape you through, okay, some 3-year whatever disease and then heal you. Why does he allow some of us to have this lifelong cross? It's so mysterious.
Yeah. I don't know that I have the right
It's a good
answer to that
question,
one.
right?
I mean, mine's gonna be until I go to heaven. So like I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know what that looks like or why it lasts as long as it does or why some get their miracle on this side and some don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I I really don't. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest question is like, why heal some but not others? It's just such a mystery, you know? Like some people do
Yeah.
get the miracle. And for you and for me, the miracles are showing how he works through our disabilities rather than
Right.
taking us out of it. So it's just a different one of my good friends, Lisa, she always says it's just a different story God is writing and he will be
Yeah.
glorified in the story no matter what the story looks like. But when you're the person, you're like, I don't want to be the main character in this. I didn't audition for this. I'm not like, why am I in this plot? You know, that's where
Yeah.
it's hard and we wrestle with the Lord, you know?
Yeah. But I think wrestling with the Lord is healthy. If you weren't, it wouldn't be called a relationship.
That's true. That's true. Although I will say, like, at least with me, like, he has disciplined me, like, severely. I mean, in like a good, you know, a good father disciplines those he loves in terms of saying, like, you need to give up the grief. Like, I have called you
Yeah.
to acceptance of this, whether it's my husband's death or whatever. Like, stop fighting with me. Trust me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which, as a prideful
Right.
person, it's been hard for me to get there, but I think I'm closer now.
Yeah.
You know, when people quote Romans 8:28, the verse right before that, you know, all things work for the good of those who love him. Like what is the good you think God is working? Is it some eternal good? Is it something specific to the person who's suffering? Is it both?
Mm, I don't. I still think it depends on who we're talking about. Every
Mm,
story is different.
yeah.
Maybe, those who are taken too early are because they have eternal good and they need to go now because he needs them in heaven.
Mm,
And
mm,
that's where they need to be. Maybe that isn't true. I don't know. Some of these questions are hard to answer because I think I don't know that I know the answer for myself. Like
mm.
I pray that there's, and when I get to eternity, that there's this internally good, I don't know, aura. I don't know what word I want, like from
Yeah.
my time spent here on earth, right? But like,
Yeah.
I, my goal is just to obey the Lord, which is to love
Mm,
on others and do and be obedient, right? And to make
mm.
disciples. And so I will just continue to do that until I'm called home. I mean, that's just my job.
Yeah. And I love oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I love how you are so humble, like to say, I don't know the answers. Cause I feel like a lot of times, at least for me, it was like, I need every answer biblically, theologically, and whatever, emotionally in order to come to acceptance of God's will. But a lot of it is just surrender. Like Abraham didn't know why the heck, he had to go sacrifice his son, but he obeyed, and it's like,
Yeah.
We have to surrender without the why, which to people like me is very difficult when you're analytical and prideful and whatever else. But getting to that humility, I guess. How has God's grace been sufficient for you? Like, do you feel like, it really is true where Paul says, his power is made perfect in weakness, my grace will be sufficient for you?
Yeah, I truly do. I think, I mean, I don't think that I, on my own, could have done any of this. And so
Mm.
I fully believe and accept that in my weaknesses that I've experienced so far,
Mhm.
that it has been him, and
Mm.
I'm okay with that. I don't need the glory. I don't need any of that. That's not what I'm here for. It's so that I can speak of what he's done so that others find him. And
Mm.
that's the ultimate goal, right? It's kind of hard when people come up to you and there's this, I don't want to be an inspiration because I'm disabled, because people who aren't disabled always kind of say it in weird situations. Like, I brushed my teeth today. Oh, Sarah, you're an inspiration to me because you brushed your teeth. And I'm like, didn't you brush your teeth? That doesn't inspire me.
It's like
Like,
condescending or something. Yeah.
that's a little weird, you know? And so the word,
Right.
unfortunately, is not as positive
Mm.
of a word as it, I think, was created to be, right? And so
Mm.
it's just one of those things where, like, I don't want the recognition to be me. And that's the humble part, right? I don't want that. It's not
Mm.
my job to be like, oh, Sarah is this big person. She does all these things. Nope. I'm just a vessel.
Wow.
And I take what he tells me or where he plants me, and he speaks the words that come out of my mouth. And whoever he touches at that moment, that's him, not me. I'm just the vessel.
Mm. And do you have a favorite verse that you cling to when times get really hard in your emotions?
I normally wear it on my arm, Isaiah 43:1, where I
Oh.
am the Lord. Yep. So that's my favorite.
Can
It's
you
just
say the verse? Actually, I don't know that one.
yeah, but I'm gonna pull it up because I'm gonna say it wrong.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on. Let me read it to you so I don't say it wrong. Because I always do that. I'm like, oh, I know it. And then I'm like, I butchered that. Hold on. It is. Okay, it is. But now, thus says the Lord, He who created you, O Jacob, He who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, and you are mine. Isaiah 43:1.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I'm just digesting it. Do you ever wrestle with this concept where people say, like, God knows what's best for us? Because, like, for you, it's like, okay, so does that mean for me, it's these lifelong limitations? I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. Do you just sort of accept that as a biblical principle and say, yeah, he must think that this is what's best for me, and that's it, full stop? You're not going to argue with it.
I mean, I argue with him, but I don't argue with other people. I'm always like, God, I just don't think this is what's best. And then I feel like he's
Oh,
like, yeah, well, it is. And I'm like, I just don't agree, but okay. But I've
wow.
submitted to that a lot.
You've submitted to that. And is it because he explained why it's best, or it's just a mystery?
No, it's because I've seen him do what's best so many times that I just can't deny him that.
Give me an example.
Oh, in my life, gosh, I'm, well, I saw him pull me out of my West Coast experience. So I know he was good in that, and that was the best decision. I saw him take opportunities where he put me in competing in pageants for 10 years and never winning the title and never being able to make it to the top. And then at the end, he gave me the last one.
Yeah.
And it was, it's just a matter of like, there's so many accounts of miracles throughout the Bible, and people are like, and that his promises that he keeps, right? We see those in the Bible. And they always say, well, God's promises will never fail because they never have in the Bible. Well, I also believe that what he chooses and what is best for me is what is best for me. And I've seen it time and time again.
So the fact that you've seen it in certain situations, like the ones you described, help you submit to that concept of God knows what's best for us on a global level, even though you don't know, why do I have to be disabled lifelong and this sort of thing.
Right,
Like, it's like it gives
right.
you evidence so you can trust his heart, correct? Is that?
Right. And should I do it that way? Probably not, because I should believe without seeing, right?
Me too. Yeah. I think it's natural though. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a
I
good
do
point.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess God longs for our faith without seeing. Like, blessed are those who
Mhm.
believed without seeing. Man,
Yeah.
we all need more faith, man. I mean, just to be able to get to that point without, because like I'm a lawyer, like the term evidence is kind of funny, but it's like so true. Like I've been constantly seeking. You get my point.
Yeah.
I How has God given you any other unexpected insights about his heart, like that you wouldn't have learned any other way? Like maybe his tenderness or his creativity or
I just, I don't know specifically. I always giggle at him every time we do something crazy because it makes me laugh that he even put that thought in my head. Making, we'll go back to the pizza since for some reason the only thing I can think of. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I should figure that out. But like climbing in the freezer, that's not typically something an average person does. Like I have to step into the freezer to get the things out of the freezer. And like I just giggle every once in a while because I'm like, God, that was such a great idea, but it looked really funny in execution. Like, thank
yeah.
God we made it through it. But like, there's a sense of like belief that I have this like overwhelming sense of belief that there is just about nothing I can't do.
Wow. I
And
can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, man.
yeah, and it's like this incredible willpower to just like figure it out. I'm such a figure outer. I hate when I don't have a solution. And so there's still things that I can't figure out that I pray on every day. And I'm like, okay, God, come on. There has to be something we can do. Can I build it? What can I use? Do I already have it? How do I put it together? What glue do I use? Like, there has to be something so I can accomplish this task and I can help other people. And so I've leaned on his creativity because he is funny sometimes. And I just sit here and giggle. And whoever's with me was like, what? How did that even come about? And I'm like, I don't know, but it worked and it was amazing. Like it was so cool to just watch it come into fruition. So it's interesting, but I don't
I
know. I just
I
really enjoy
see.
that part.
Do you know? So Joni Eareckson Tada is this. I mean, but for the audience, like
Okay.
she's this lifelong paraplegic, and very famous international Christian ministry, and she has said, and sort of preached, if you will, that like the whole spiritual world is watching us in our trials, angels, demons, and there's biblical support for this. I had put it in my book, but like I just see the whole world looking at Sarah and the Lord like every day, like Joni puts it, like our lives are a chalkboard, and everyone's watching what's being written in the story, and I just see your resilience and your trust and your fighting, like so beautiful. Like it is proving to the demons that nothing will bring God down and that his children will love him regardless of what fires they're put into. And you are a beautiful example of that. But on the flip side, I'm wondering, like, have you experienced any spiritual warfare, like, where the enemy will plant lies in your mind? I mean, I guess it's kind of a daily fight for all of us, but it's like, do you know what I'm asking? Like, maybe mental strongholds, like telling you you're not beautiful, your identity isn't good enough, your worth isn't good enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've experienced it a lot and a lot more as an adult than as a kid.
Hmm.
Um, it was easier, in my opinion, to be accepted as a kid with a
Oh,
disability because I had my mom kind of just speak up for me and everybody just kind of did what she said.
oh,
And so
yeah.
I was always fully immersed in every experience, right? Like if you were in the sandbox, some adult picked me up and put me in the sandbox. Like there wasn't as much barrier
Oh.
because I think I grew up with a support system that didn't allow the barriers to be noticed, and so I didn't
Hmm.
see them very often. But as I became an adult, it was a lot harder, and I dealt with this a lot in college. I got really sick my second year because of mental illness, and I stopped
Oh.
eating and was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Oh.
Um, because time and time again, these strangers or caregivers, I mean, they were caregivers, but to me, it was a stranger, right? I didn't know them until they came in at 7 o'clock in the morning to get me out of bed. And they would come in and they would yell at me, or they would scream at me, or they would tell me how nasty I am and why I have such a bad attitude. And
Mm,
I felt like they put so much of my confidence so low that I started to
mm,
close in on myself. And I was
mm,
afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to speak up when something wasn't comfortable. Like, I sit all day long, and if my shirt's all the way up my back, like, that wrinkle really is uncomfortable. But I was
mhm.
too afraid to ask somebody to pull it down because I was too much work, or I was too needy, or I always needed something. And it really started to diminish my own self-worth of, like, I don't know, I'm just a burden on everybody and nobody wants to deal with me. Like, what do I do?
Wow.
And it was a long, long battle, and I still battle with it. Like, because I don't have care, I have to get help to go to the bathroom throughout the day if I need to go. And that requires me to ask an entire group of people who's available to take me at some
Mm,
random afternoon time. And I don't like asking because I
yeah.
don't like that feeling of I'm bothering them from what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it might be a 10-minute trip to the bathroom, but I took that away from their time, even though
Mm,
it's something I need because I need to go to the bathroom. So,
yeah.
like, I still battle it to this day. Like, it, I I don't want to, and I know I'm not a burden on those who have told me. But for those who don't, or who come into my house and I say I need something, and it takes one simple, that's all it takes, one sigh.
Yeah.
And it sets me off completely. I won't ask for anything else the rest of the night because
Mm,
it just shuts me completely down.
yeah.
So
No,
I
of course.
know
Yeah.
that's the demon playing with me. He's like, "Hey, look, like, this is the devil trying to get to my
Wow.
core, telling me that I can't do this and I'm never going to make it.
Right.
And I'm nothing more than a burden on the people around me." And it's a constant battle. It is a constant battle.
Wow. And yet the Lord is still there holding your identity, like drawing you back to the truth. You have
Yep.
worth in me. You are beautiful in me. Like it's like a but thank you for admitting that it is a battle because it is for me as well. It's like even though we've come to acceptance, the enemy still wants the territory, like so
Yeah.
he will so we have it's like we have to put that armor up or whatever. It's like constant prayer, constant crying out, constant just forcing yourself to trust.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you think that your disability has advanced the gospel? Like Paul says his chains advance the gospel, and I just see that with so much many of our sufferings. Like maybe with your platform and your advocacy, like even though I know you're not explicitly Christian and I know that's intentional because I think you said I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you can answer.
Yeah, I think yes and no. And you're right. Real Life Connections is not explicitly a Christian platform. It's more of like an uplifting empowerment platform with Christian notes tied in all over it. I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
screams that it is. But if you're not a Christian, I wanted you to have a place where you still felt like you could come and learn and sow the seed in your heart without feeling pressure. And so I wanted to have that safe space for those who are lost and haven't found their way to God yet,
Mm,
without it kind of being like an in your face, I'm pushing really hard, because I know it takes time for some, and that's okay. And so, yes, I think there's an advancement that I will hopefully one day get to see because God used me as
mm.
his vessel, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's so cool.
but I just pray for it every time I do something. If there's an speaking opportunity, or, an opportunity to volunteer my time or just be around a group of people, before I start whatever that is, I just pray that God touches one life in that group before I leave. And so
Yeah.
hopefully, I don't know.
Oh,
Mm.
absolutely. I mean, you're just like a warrior for the Lord. I know he's doing so much through you that we just can't even see, but we will in eternity. I believe that. You believe that. Do you
Yeah.
think Christians understand God's heart for people with disabilities? And what do you wish other Christians understood better about how God views bodies like yours?
I do and I don't. I think we talked a little bit about this, or I brought it up earlier. about like praying for healing and being like so ready to jump on it as soon as you see somebody with a disability.
Right.
And in my experience, I feel like that really turns people with disabilities away from the church.
Wow. Yeah.
Because while they're here, they're trying to battle that acceptance. And then it's like, as soon as you walk into the church, it's like, oh, you have to be healed. And it's like, wait, where did that acceptance even go?
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it's so hard because I want, like, yes, I know I'm not healed to what I guess is assumed as what I should look like healed, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I should be walking, my hands should be normal. I don't know like what is normal anymore. I don't know. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying like I don't we know what it looks like here, but we don't really know what it looks like. And like if somebody is coming to church to just really try and get out of the darkness or just
Yeah.
find light for an hour and a half and just have God pour into them. And then they're bombarded with prayers of healing. It stops a lot of people with disabilities in their tracks and they don't come back. And it
Yeah.
breaks my heart because I couldn't imagine doing this life with a disability without him.
Yeah.
But I also understand how they feel.
Yeah.
And so every time I go to a church group or a small group meeting, I normally am the one to say that in every group because I want to start changing that perspective. I don't want that to be your greeting at the door. I want
Right.
you to be greeted as you are. The Bible says, come as you are.
Oh, I just got chills.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you can't, if I'm supposed to come as I am, then why are you,
Mm.
if I'm supposed to come as I am, then why are you as a Christian trying to change me as soon as I step foot in your church?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is so powerful. I mean, I understand the heart for healing. Like Jesus healed people,
Right.
but it's like the tension again between his will and there's so much mystery, but what you're saying is so important for us, people who are trying to maybe evangelize people in the disabled community or just anyone with any illness or any mental affliction or whatever. It's like meet them where they are. Like don't try to change them. That's
Yeah, and I
really.
think at that point, if you are an evangelist or whoever and you feel the need to pray for them, then you need to figure out and have an open conversation with them to get to know them first. I mean, maybe they do need a healing, but maybe it's not a miraculous healing that everything's gone. Maybe it's like me, and I would really like my spine to straighten out because I'm worried about what the repercussions are of being so curved from my scoliosis. I'm scared of what that's going to do in the next 10 years. Like that is something I really do pray every single day is healed. But
Hmm.
like I don't typically pray every single day for my entire body. I've come to accept who I am and I know how much power there is from being a person with a disability and you being a vessel for God.
How
And
much
I
power there is. And that's so counterintuitive to what the world says. The world says the disabled people are weak. God
yeah,
says that those who are weak are strong. It's like the upside down kingdom, right?
exactly. Exactly.
I mean, why do you, I just want, speak into that. Why do you say how powerful it is that you are weak? Can you explain that? Like, it's so counterintuitive because you're speaking into people's lives through your testimony. Is that it?
Yeah, I believe so. I feel like there's so much power in being the vessel for God's word. And if we are
Mm,
bold enough through Christ to be able to actually take a stand in front of somebody and speak truth into them, that is power.
yeah,
And power creates change. We know that in the world. That's how the world works, right? That's how the earthly world works. Power creates change. And so I may appear weak because people on earth see me as weak because of whatever. But I know in my own sense of self, which then helps me to be the voice and bring God's word to other people. I know that's through him and I know that I have the power to change that because he's given that to me to go out and spread the gospel to other people.
that's beautiful. Yeah. And your testimony is more powerful because you're still clinging in your weakness. Like, this must be
Exactly.
real because the world looks at you and says, why would she believe in a God who made her like that? And you look at the world and say, because he's using me for his glory. And you might not
Exactly.
understand that, but that's the biblical truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Are
Mhm.
there any other things that Christians say to you that are unhelpful in your suffering? Or maybe not to you personally, but just generally. Do you think there are things that we should avoid telling sufferers and in particular disabled people? I guess we've kind of touched on this, but
Yeah, and I feel like we've said it too because you even said, "I hope I'm not going to offend you," but you had
oh,
said
oh
something
no.
like, "Oh, no," and you didn't offend me. I'm not worried about it. Like it doesn't. But
Oh.
I've heard other Christians say it, and I know sometimes it can be a bother to other people, or something that brings them
Oh.
down. Is
Mm,
when we say, "Oh, well, God wouldn't have never created somebody with a disability," and
mm,
it's so hard because we don't really know. Like we just talked about this
yeah.
because there's a verse that you mentioned earlier in Exodus
Yeah,
that does
Exodus.
talk about it, right?
Yeah,
And then we're created perfect in his image, but then disability comes in somewhere. And
right.
like, but where does it come in? Like I was born with my disability, but is
Right.
it worldly because it, like I don't know. Like,
Mm,
and so sometimes I think that's really hard because then it's like, well, if God didn't create me this way, then where do I belong?
yeah.
And I've heard that time and time again I mean, that's upsetting for anybody to hear like, well, God didn't create you disabled. Well, then how did I get like this?
Right.
And
Right.
so that means my disability is bad. And then it's just all bad.
Yeah. Which
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which isn't the right biblical perspective. I mean, yeah, you've outlined exactly what I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I I'm just digesting. I want to switch to, you know how James says count it all joy when you face many trials? It's like such a counterintuitive command. Can you tell us how you have learned to hold joy and grief at the same time? Maybe talk about your painting. Like, you are so talented. You're a singer. You're a painter. Like, tell me how God gives you joy in the midst of your severe pain.
My joy comes from people, being around other people. I love seeing other people happy. It brings me so much joy.
Mm,
Um, so I'll tell you a story. So right now I'm trying to sell a house. I own a house. I bought a house when I was 28 and I was so proud of myself. I was single, I was disabled, and I bought a house. And I was like, yes, this is the coolest thing ever. And I walked into that house on the first day and I said, God, this is your house. I want you to use this house for anything and everything we can possibly use it for. And we did. We ran Bible studies out of that house. We ran my best friend who also has a disability. We ran her bridal shower out of that house. And like, I just saw God work in so many lives. There's so many children that came in and out of my house that you could just tell were touched by the Lord when they came in there. And that house
mm,
meant so much to me. And when I left for my crisis out south or out west, I had to quickly do something with my house. And so I gave it to a property manager and asked him to property manage it until I got back. So he was supposed to rent it out. Well, about June or July of last year, I started getting notifications that the rent wasn't being paid, which meant the mortgage wasn't being paid.
mm,
And we ended up going in a total of 6 months unpaid, and my house went into foreclosure. And I
mm,
was losing my house out from underneath me, and there was nothing I could do to save it. He
mm.
was taking the rent and not giving it to me. And so they were basically living in my house rent free and taking all of my money. And I was so scared in that moment because I didn't know how much more I could hold. I had already been put in a really bad financial situation before that, and this one just took the cake. And I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. I'm going to lose everything. And so we battled through getting these people out of the house and getting them evicted, and they destroyed the house. I couldn't put the house on the market because it was destroyed. And so I reached out to all previous church friends and current ones, and I said, I need help. I have to fix this house. Like, can we do it? And every weekend, a team of people from church came out and we worked on this house. And we would play worship music inside this house, and you could just feel the joy exuding from each person that worked on this house, whether we were taking a toilet off the floor or patching a hole in the wall. And like, it was the most beautiful time of fellowship together, whether we had seen each other last week or we hadn't seen each other in a year. And it was in that moment, while I'm still going through this suffering point because the house now just isn't selling and it's sitting and I can't afford to keep it anymore. So I'm still going to have to go through something awful. It's coming. Um, but during that moment, I just saw so much joy come out of this disastrous situation. And it was like, wow, this is really truly how God brings his people together. Like,
Mm.
we might be suffering, and each one of us are suffering in such different ways. But when we can be connected through the Lord, he just finds joy in the tiniest things that you would
Mm.
never think joy could come out of. And even if it's just a little smile that day, it just makes that suffering just a tiny bit easier than it was the day before.
I couldn't agree more with all of this. Like I saw my friend and I call it the sprinkles of joy that God gives us in deep grief. Like he shows up if you look for it. You see it, and only a good God could bring these beautiful moments in such really difficult circumstances, like what you were
Yeah.
describing with your home. You know,
Yeah.
I this is my last question. I want to talk about when you won Miss Wheelchair USA in 2022 because that I mean it's just so amazing. And by the way, you are so gorgeous. For those of you who are listening on audio, you need to look at the YouTube video because Sara is just so beautiful. And what did that experience mean to you in terms of like redefining beauty standards like through a kingdom lens? Like I don't know, take it where you will.
Yeah. So to give you backstory, I competed in pageants since I was 15. So I had 8 years, 9 years
Oh,
under my belt already.
wow.
And I really got into the pageant industry because one, I thrive in competition. I don't know what it is, but I'm super competitive and I love things that are like adrenaline rushes. I also do all extreme sports. So yeah, definitely check out my page because it's pretty cool.
You do
But
extreme
anyway,
sports?
yeah, I've done zip lining, water skiing, snow skiing. I've done all of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
stop now because you just put everyone to shame. Like I don't because I did see one reel where you were literally lifting like 5 million weights. I don't even know. I've never
Yeah.
been to a gym in my life. Like I don't like you are amazing. Sorry. All right. You go.
Yeah, I just, anyway, so yeah, that's me. But for the pageants, it wasn't a I need to compete because I'm prettier, right? It was
Mm.
there's this standard in the pageant industry, and everybody knows it, whether
Mm.
you've been in pageants or not, that you have to be the most beautiful person on the outside standing on the stage. And I was like, no,
Wow.
that's not okay
Yeah.
because I want people to see what inner beauty truly looks like. And
Mm.
so I began competing and I really found like my formed passion was through doing these experiences. And it becoming Miss Wheelchair USA was truly the ultimate goal. I told myself I couldn't quit this pageant career until I took one national title. That was
Mm.
that was the standard I had set for myself because I believed deep down that there needed to be somebody who could be in this world with a disability who could win something like a beauty pageant, but be bold and confident in their faith and show other little girls who came up after them that they had a role model to look up to. Because I didn't
Mm.
have one as a kid. Everybody
Mm.
wanted to be like, oh gosh, I don't know, Britney Spears and Justin Bieber when I was a kid. No, wait, Justin Bieber's too old. I guess In Sync and 98 Degrees. Let's see who I don't even know was around when I was a kid anymore. Anyway, but nobody looked like me. And I
Mm.
didn't have somebody who I could be like, yeah, they're an astronaut. I want to be just like there was no, it was really hard to think and dream that big when I never saw anybody in a wheelchair do anything that big. And
Mm.
so being able to go into this pageant system and kind of create and redefine what beauty looks like, knowing that I wanted women to walk away with another level of confidence that they didn't have when they came into it. And just understand that beauty's not defined by what's on the outside, but it's where your heart truly is.
Mm.
And yeah, I just took it from there and ran with it, and I fell in love with the entire thing. I love it so much.
Mm. And were you competing against regular in like the regular Miss USA, or were they all wheelchair competitions? Everyone
I
has a
did
wheel.
both. I
Oh,
did both.
wow.
So I
Yeah.
did the regular Miss USA twice, and
Wow.
then Miss Wheelchair USA was just individuals who use a mobility device.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, I did both. I wanted to break down the barriers in the regular one
yeah. Oh
because
my God. And was that a
they
good
shouldn't be
experience, or
separated.
was that a good
It was.
experience, or
It was the first time, the first run through I did. You could definitely tell it was like, oh, this sweet little girl. Like
yeah,
it was
that's
like the pity
annoying.
card, and it was gross.
Oh, yeah.
And the second time I was like, no, I mean business this time. So I went on
Oh,
like a 4 day a week fitness regimen. And I mean, I practiced and worked my butt
wow.
off for 8 months up until this point. And I went back out on the stage and competed again. And even the director was like, you came in ready to win this time. And I said, I
Wow.
sure did, because I did not like the way I got treated the first time.
Oh.
But it was incredible to see their transformation. Their choreographer
Hmm.
changed the dances up so that I could do the
Oh.
moves too.
Oh.
She rearranged the stage so that I had full access and didn't have to worry about sitting off to the side of the bleachers, like, or the risers. Like, they just
Wow.
really, they noticed that the commitment was there, and
Hmm.
that it didn't matter if I was sitting and everybody else was standing, because I needed a fair shot. And
Wow.
so it was totally worth it. I didn't win either of those, but it was totally worth
Well,
it.
this is being Christ light, like in the non-Christian world or whatever. I mean, in the
Right.
non-disability world, like it's just like I can only imagine like what a radiant light you were on that stage. Just I would love to like watch the footage. I don't know if they have it. I know that sounds creepy or something, but it's like I want to see like you in the competition because you're so competitive like I am. And it's like, yeah. I just congratulations. I mean,
Thank
we are
you.
literally, you guys, we're literally talking to Miss Wheelchair USA 2022. I've never even been in a pageant, let alone met anyone who won a pageant. But Sarah, I just want to end here. Like,
Yeah.
scripture speaks often of these eternal rewards for people who exhibit perseverance under great trial. And I mean, if anyone deserves the crown of life, it is Sara Gaver. I like James 2:5 says, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to inherit the kingdom he promised? And even James 5:11 says, we count as blessed those who have persevered. And I can't think of anyone that I've ever met, frankly, who deserves that, commendation from the Lord more than you. So just thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom. Do you have any last words you want to end on, or?
No, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity. It feels amazing to be able to just comfortably talk about my faith and share it with the community, and
Yeah.
have a platform where people really can feel heard, because it's hard and we all get that. So,
It's hard. Yeah. That's almost a good place to end on, because while we're singing through the fire, it's still hard. But
yeah,
like you said earlier, I can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. So there's always the hope there.
that's right.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us today. Until next time, remember, if you're suffering today, you're not forgotten. This fire is not the end of your story. Until next time, God bless you. Be sure to hit subscribe, because I upload content every week to help other sufferers. To God be the glory.